The product's also not generally available yet. There's some customers using it in early release. So the things I tell you are pretty safe to share, but the product might change. All right, so just keep that in mind. This is just like an early look at what it should mostly be. So first, I'm going to set the stage and talk about some of the challenges facing our cybersecurity professionals today. It's one of our most demanding challenges of our times. The numbers are really staggering. So the number of password attacks Microsoft detects has more than tripled over the last 12 months. So it's gone from 1,300 per second to 4,000 per second. So think about really, if you were responsible for defending, you won't see all of those, obviously, but there'll be quite a few. The median time for an attacker to access your private data if you fell victim to a phishing email is now about 1 hour and 12 minutes. That's why they keep sending you those horrible tests. The people who are responsible for defending are overworked and under-resourced. The security teams don't grow with the scale of the attacks. And the attackers have more resources than ever. You know, all of these cool things that we learn about, they get to use too. They get to use the cloud. They get to use all of the technology to automate and scale their attacks. So for a long time, we've been on the back foot because we play by rules. We don't do the bad things. We try and stop them. There's currently around a 3.5 million person shortage for cybersecurity globally. So, you know, something has to change for the balance to shift. There's challenges in both technology and in terms of the people. So on the technology side, security tools have sprawled and become more complex to defend against all the different things. They become difficult to manage, and you have like these really complex architectures for just your security tooling to just protect your organization. I'm saying just like it's such a simple thing. On top of that, you have your security posture for all of your systems, and you need to manage those as well as the tools that you use. And the postures that you need to adhere to are often governed by regulatory requirements. I don't know if any of you work in government or FedGov, you might have heard of the Essential 8. That's something that you have to adhere to. Or if you're in financial services, might be CPS 234. You might just have organizational decisions. Let's do ISO 27001 or NIST 800. So all of your tools, you need to learn how to use them, and not only use them, configure them in such a way that they help you meet these requirements. It's quite difficult. And then it's actually humans doing all of this configuration, trying to keep pace with configuring and doing, as well as defending. So it's tough. And you have to try and work with people, which is tough, because everyone's busy and trying to get everything done. So these aren't brand new challenges, even if they are slowly getting worse. And we decided it was time for a new approach. How do we scale things so that it's in the favor of the defenders? How do we make humans more effective and use them more strategically? We can't replace humans. Humans are the most important key piece in defending, but we need to make a human more effective. So we need technology that can augment your unique skills and capabilities, your critical thinking, and help you upskill quicker, process things quicker, understand things quicker. And AI allows for that. So technology that can work alongside us, help detect the hidden patterns and behaviors, and inform us with response at machine speed with the latest and most advanced security practices. All right, so AI allows us to get this in real time, and we can investigate threats faster, and the defenders become more effective and efficient, and we can use those natural language prompts now. You've all seen ChatGPT. Yeah? Yes. So using a similar mechanism as engaging with a system like ChatGPT, Security Copilot allows us to do the same thing. Now, Microsoft itself is uniquely positioned to do that because we have a security platform that spans end-to-end of your entire data estate. We protect all of your desktops and all of your servers, all of your applications, your storage, your clouds. We love all the clouds. So it's not just Azure. We protect you in AWS and GCP, right? So if we've got all of the security tooling there, now we just need to make it easier to use that tooling so that you can protect your organizations. So we want to transform security not only for our customers and not just because of our massive investments in AI. I'm sure you've heard about it a little bit. At least there's been, I think, 5 or 6 .NET Gen AI talks I've seen on the program. But also because we've already spent that investment in the security programs, right? So we're putting together 2 areas of investment to build a solution that's really great for our customers. So that's our background, the context, strategy, why we're doing it. Let's talk a little bit about Security Copilot. Sorry, Copilot for security. It's the first generative AI security product to help defend organizations at machine speed and scale. It was actually announced in March 2023, so that's like 10 months ago. And since then, it's been really exciting. A lot of my customers are interested and want to hear about it and ask us when can we get it. Everyone is comfortable with the idea of the chat interface. Security Copilot actually uses GPT-4, right? So that's the interface for the chat. And then it combined with a OpenAI and Microsoft developed security-specific model, which is powered by all of our learning and expertise in security, as well as our global threat intelligence product, as well as our comprehensive security products, like all together, that is Security Copilot. So at the moment, it is available through an early access program. So if it were something that your organization were interested in and you have an account manager, you can talk to them and see if it's something you can get on to. I am not a seller. I help people use their stuff. I don't sell stuff. So asking me how much it costs or, what's the onboarding or any of that, like it's not a great question to ask right now. But your account team can help you. I don't actually know when it's going to be released yet. That hasn't been shared with me. I submitted this paper last year in October, September, and I was like, absolutely it'll be out by then. But no. So hopefully this half, but that's just pure speculation and no ETA has been shared. And basically once it's released, it'll help our security professionals using like your E5, so MDE, Defender for Endpoint, Defender for Identity, Defender for Office, all of our XDR, Sentinel. But there's a slide, I'm getting ahead of myself. It'll help you work through all of these. So it'll help you move faster. So when you see your alert or your incident come in, you'll have a quicker mean time to respond. You'll still have to respond. It's not going to magically do it for you, but it'll guide you through that response quicker, help with some advice on remediation, and it will give you more time to focus on the high-value tasks. I'm not sure if any of you have ever sat in a security operations center before or had to respond to security alerts. Sometimes you'll get them and you're just like, I have no idea what to do. But you still have to do it. I'm sure you'd have a similar scenario if you're having to program a novel solution, like how do I even tackle this? That unknown or that vagary is common across all disciplines. But with Security Copilot, because it's a security-specific model, we've put in best practices and guidance on how to respond to all of the incidents that get generated. It also has the ability to take complex things and simplify it down. So you'll see when we do our demos shortly, it'll take like a whole incident with many security alerts and create a summary that's easy to digest and give you things to follow. So it takes the complex and simplifies it and allows you to respond to it quickly. One of the key areas for incident response or investigation is using the Custo query language to audit or investigate data tables. So, you have to learn another language, but with security, well, with Copilot for security, you can, in natural language, say, help me write a query to investigate this, and it will generate it for you. And then you can ask it to execute it and give you the pertinent results, and it will. But all of these things, it's a Copilot, it's not driving it for you. Let me just... And another area where it would be really valuable is when you're starting to onboard new... Oh, man. Hello, slide. Sorry. When you're onboarding your new staff members or getting juniors in, a junior in anything, they might be really enthusiastic, but like how useful a junior is until they're a little bit less juniorish is debatable, right? But if you train them in how to use the tool, then Security Copilot can guide them to be more useful. They still might need to say, hey, it's saying this and I still don't understand, but at least they get to the point of asking the question rather than asking, how do I get to the point so that I have a question I need to ask? And if it's a lot of the security incidents, especially in a newer environment or a less tuned environment, might be a false positive. So to get to the point where you can determine whether or not something is serious or not with a junior because it's guided by a system is really useful. So, has anyone heard of our threat intelligence product? Not many people have one. Wonderful. So our threat intelligence is very comprehensive. We've got about 8,500 security professionals protecting Microsoft, and we've got a lot of platforms and products. I live in this world where I always talk about Defender for Endpoint and Azure AD, Entra ID. But we've got Xbox, and we've got Outlook.com, with all of, ex-Hotmail, and there's still some Hotmail there, and we've got all of our enterprise, and we protect all of it. So all of those signals that we get are able to be folded into our Security Copilot and our threat intelligence. So some stats are, we protect over 1.4 billion endpoints around the planet, and that's mobile devices, servers, IoT devices, and PCs. We graph the entire internet every day. So we're aware of all of the connections between, like following the network connections, what we can see, and then you can fingerprint based on that. So our threat intelligence is very aware of basically everything that we can reach. And, we also see threats that might not be obvious because we're looking at everyone. Especially, if we're looking at everyone with a Microsoft product, we don't get telemetry specific to your user account, but we might see patterns emerging across all our customers, and we have so many of them. So our threat intelligence is really good. And then that's folded into the Security Copilot. Currently, not a lot of people have the threat intelligence because the price is equal to the value it provides. But with that amount of data, it's all included in the Security Copilot, and it automatically accesses it. You don't even need to ask. So if you're doing a query and it shows you an IP address as the source of an attack, it'll also say, and this IP address is owned by or is known to be used by Midnight Tempest, which is, one of our threat actors. So we've got a lot of visibility into the threat landscape. And because we have that visibility, our threat intelligence is really good, and the Copilot automatically leverages it. So it makes the advice the Copilot give really relevant. So I mentioned before, we've got that end-to-end security and that we're embracing generative AI. and it's at the center of all of the products that you'll see on the screen. So we're seeing the Defenders, Sentinel, Entra. Entra is our identity platform. Intune is our cloud device management platform, so all of your Windows 10 and 11 and mobile devices, so your phones and tablets. Doesn't do servers. And then we've got Priva. Priva is not massive in Australia because we don't have strong privacy protections. But if you are in Europe with the GDPR, or if you're a business here operating in Europe with GDPR responsibilities, then Priva is a lot more relevant to you. And then Purview, which is like our compliance portfolio, so data loss prevention, sensitive information types, insider risk management. Security Copilot sits in the middle of all of those. So you can query into all of those services from the same interface. Or from all of those interfaces, you'll have Security Copilot buttons and panels where it'll give you relevant advice based on what you're doing. So it's always contextual and relevant. Yes?
If you have access to Copilot, but you don't have access to one of these services, can you still ask Copilot about these things? In Azure, you have access, right? If I don't have access to Sentinel, but I have access to Entra, I have access to other services, can I still go to Copilot and ask things about?
Okay, so the question is, just say you have Copilot for security, and I'll make it simpler. You've got Defender, because you're protecting all your endpoints, but you don't have Sentinel.
Sorry, we have, but I don't have access.
Good question. So with this, it will only see what you have access to see, according to your role. Less relevant for this because there's still not a lot of customers using this, but that's a really good conversation around the M365 space, and that's why your data security is so important. Michelle?
Just wondering about the question specifically, because I think in the Copilot for Azure, although it cannot see the things that it doesn't have access to, it only sees what's in there. I can ask it questions about any Microsoft products and it answers those. So it can answer them generically, but not specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. But your role-based access assignments and your scopes and roles, all of that is respected by Security Copilot, but all the copilots, because it's not there to do things that you can't do. So you might have a junior and a senior, and the senior has more access to more systems, then naturally they will see or get access to more. So a lot of these things, we started off with the use cases primarily for security operations center analyst type people, and it's expanded. So the skills or the things that it can do are growing, and it will keep growing. So that will be an area of development for the product. Right. Now, I mentioned that you have your experience where you have and it's called the embedded experience, where you'll have buttons or like a pane where it'll automatically just generate text for you. So if you're responding to a security incident, it will give you a summary of that incident, which is a summary of all the alerts, and give you the pertinent topics like immediately. So that one is really useful. Another announcement that came out in October was that we were getting the unified experience, where if you are a Sentinel customer, all of your Sentinel tables will be available in the security portal. This is quite a big thing because like with the access control mentioned before, you'd have to be granted access and then go into another portal and even write queries in another place in order to get to your Sentinel logs. So Sentinel is a security incident event manager. You'd connect, say, all of your network devices, like your switches and routers for your on-prem, maybe applications, maybe third-party SaaS services. You would ingest logs there. And then you've got all of your devices, like all of your defenders going into the security portal. And you had 2 portals. If you've been in Microsoft land for a little while, you know that sometimes we have a lot of portals, sometimes we have few portals, sometimes they grow and sometimes they shrink. So we're in the consolidation phase again, and all of the security tables will be available in the unified experience inside the security portal. And that's great because you have the embedded experience for Security Copilot, and that's inside that portal. So now when Copilot gives you information or you do queries, it will be aware of all of the tables in your Sentinel. But if you've not granted access to the security portal, but you have granted access to people in Azure portal, then there's a Copilot embedded experience there as well. And it's the same with Entra and Purview, Priva or whatnot. But it's still all very much, I'm doing an identity thing, so I'll go into my identity thing. I'm doing a compliance thing, so I'll go into my compliance portal. Wouldn't it be better if you could just go, I'm protecting my organization and I want to be able to do all of the things in one place, right? So that's why we've got what is known as the standalone experience. I apologize, it's so blurry. So you're not really going to be able to read the screen. But basically what you are seeing is a screenshot where the analyst has asked for a summary of a specific incident ID. So they may have got that from the portal. Or they may have said, give me a list of the top 3 incidents I must look at. And then it's given that. Has anyone seen on OpenAI's GPTs, like the ChatGPT GPTs? Yeah. So this is similar in appearance to that. With the GPTs, you can have like a custom trained experience specific to that. So this one is specific to security, but this isn't using the GPTs thing. This is Microsoft technology. But you'll see like a home screen. Down the bottom, you'll see some additional prompts. So we've got the threat actor profile. We've got the vulnerability impact assessment. We've got Microsoft Sentinel incident investigation. On the right-hand side, we also have some tell me more abouts. These are stateful as well. So if you close it and come back in, what you were working on will still be there. Right, so it's this is the home page, and you can save things or put it into like a shared workspace for other people in your team. So whilst it's limited to your account, you can like save a bookmark to where you were if you had to hand over an investigation to someone else. But you can do that in Sentinel anyway. Yes.
Does it also report when you fix or when you work on the threat? There was a threat and when you work, does it give you in the report as well? Does it mention the report as well? That there was an incident and then this is now it's working, it was fixed and this is working.
Yes.
So it's a good tool for reporting as well.
Oh yeah. I wish I had time for like this one demo, but I encourage you to look on YouTube on the Microsoft mechanics. They go through this whole incident, and at the end it says, draft me a report, a post-incident report. Yep. And it does, right? And that was like really useful because if you're really busy, whilst it's good to have a post-incident report and it's good to have a post-incident review with your team, a lot of the time you can't do it. But at least if you can have a report generated, and then you might say, give me the condensed summary, and then you say again, give me the full report, or give me a report for my executives. And it will draft it the different ways. And that's like the power of that large language model, as well as our training to say what's in a report. So there's a thing called prompts, which we have all heard of if you've attended at least one of the Gen AI sessions this week, few days. But then we've got a thing called prompt books. right? And a prompt book is a collection of prompts. So you can load a prompt book and your organization can create prompt books and follow your playbooks like for your security response. So this can still be a tool which is very much your tool. I want to investigate and our organization does it this way. Collect this information.
Sorry.
No.
So by co-piloting between all these tools, you're effectively turning what would have been multiple dashboards into a chatbot
Yes.
that's generating interfaces rapidly.
The last word you said?
It's generating dashboards or front ends on the fly or adaptively, however you want to.
It's always coming back to you in text.
Okay.
There will occasionally be links, but that you can click and follow back to other places. And like if you're in ChatGPT, it would have to use the data analysis plugin to do like graphing and stuff like that. I haven't seen that in here, but like I said, moving target. So, yeah. And I'm going to just double back on you're asking queries. It will also know to suggest or provide you things like this is the threat intel that we have on these IPs, or we've seen this behavior. It matches the techniques and tactics of this threat actor. Which is a bit scary because we don't really feel like we get targeted by these threat actors or nation states. So we're probably not looking out for it. I'm sure if you're in a bank or FedGov or whatnot, but if you're in like a medium enterprise or large enterprise, you might not see it. So if you saw that, they'll be like, but it's better to know than not know. All right. So here is just another example, and I'm of some of the things that you can ask it. And I'm going to swap to a demo of the standalone experience just next. And you'll see like a whole raft of questions, but they're all in natural language. I don't even think you'll see in the demo, actually, I'm confident you won't see because the writing's too blurry, but we don't ask things in complex security-specific words. It's just that natural language that if you're sitting next to your teammate, have you looked at this? Can you tell me about it? Right? You converse with it there. And we're just going to jump into that demo right now. We're about halfway through the session. So we'll see how long or how much of the demo I do. It would be good to give you the opportunity to ask questions as well. And to be fair, the demo is less compelling when you can't read it. I want to get a little thingy here so I know what it's actually doing, since I'm not going to be able to read the screen. All right. So this one is just, we've got a query saying, what is the status of the user account for Lynn Robbins? Is it a block user? So the initial query is Lynn has queried the service desk and can't log in. So it did that question during the query, and you'll see there was three things. This is not a live demo. Hopefully that was obvious, but I'm being very transparent. It's going to respond quicker than it would respond. If it's not too blurry, you may see some seconds, like 22 seconds. And that's generally quite accurate. But I did this at NDC Security without it being accelerated. I hope I've chosen the accelerated one because it sometimes took like 4 minutes to come back, and watching me stand here sweating for 4 minutes is quite boring. But, I'm just being really upfront with how, but to be honest, to do the analysis that it's doing in the 4 minutes will take you way longer. So after the first prompt, Copilot will reason across the different plugins and create a new session to begin the investigation. And it allows Copilot to leverage context from your prompts to more efficiently further the investigation. And from the response provided, you can see that Lynn is locked out, and we'll need to explore a little bit more why. So login events are a great way to understand why. So let's ask Copilot to source some more for me. So down the bottom it says, what login attempts exist for the user, Lynn Robbins? So it was hard, you didn't see, but it chose Entra as the first skill. So it determined that it was an identity. It needed to use Entra because that's where the source of data is. Then the middle one is basically I'm doing my thinking and doing my magic. And then the last one is passing the results. So now we'll see some of the things. I'm actually scared to scroll this for a couple of reasons. One, because the resolution's not what it was recorded at. I'm worried that I won't be able to further the script. And you can't read it anyway. But basically, it's giving you a list of the different logins and the data. So if you're familiar with Entra ID, you can go to sign-ins and it will give you like a table, and then you can apply filters and it will give you just a list of all the logins with the data. It's basically done the same thing, but it's chosen the specific ones for the failed login types. So this one, having a look, it may have come from different devices. So there might be something more going on, but we need more context. So we're going to ask for it. We can ask Copilot lots of different questions or ask it to substantiate anything that it shared with us so we can audit it. And again, this is great for junior analysts or anyone who's not normally doing this sort of thing. So maybe you're on call, maybe you're a sysadmin, not a security person, but you have to respond. This will help guide you through it. All right, so is the user considered risky, is the question. And if so, why? So it chose Entra again, did the 3 steps, and it's saying yes. So the response from Entra gives you clues into the nature of the user in relation to the lockouts. And it does look like a security event that's occurred. So now we can focus the shift. So a risky user in Entra is one where we have more AI, but in our identity stack, passing over the logins, when it's anomalous, they'll be considered risky. And it could be risky for multiple different things. So it's come back that they've got a rating of risky. So now we're looking for security alerts potentially associated with that user. You know, we didn't actually start this investigation from a security incident or a security alert. We started this with this user's locked out. Why are we locked out? And now we're seeing there's something suspicious. Is there any alerts related to this suspicious behavior? So they've got Defender for Endpoint, obviously. So we're going to see if there's anything that's been associated with Lynn's account. So the question is, generate all something Defender hunting logs. So we've got a choice. These are all different sort of templates for what you can or can't do. And you'll see that we've got the top one. Are there any Defender incidents involving Lynn Robbins on October 17, which was the date of the incident? List the title, severity, timestamp, attack techniques, and categories for any incidents containing her account name or alias. And having to do that manually isn't like impossible, but like it's not that nice. So they're choosing that one, and we're just gonna select it. So that was the natural language query, because that's what you think, like, oh, okay, we need to investigate this, but like to actually articulate it with the tooling. So it's come back and it shows us the hunting query that it generated. So I mentioned before you need KQL skills to audit the data. It's created it for us, which is across the top. And then it's giving us that list of the security alerts and then like a little summary down the bottom. So now we know that there are some security alerts tied to Lynn. We can start looking into the Defender data to correlate it. So we're going to ask for more security events stemming from October 17, which is when they happened, and what alerts may have come up from it. So list the 10 most critical Defender incidents that by the date in the title. So we've now got some security incidents. In Microsoft security products, alerts are like individual signals. And then the backend, I don't like calling it AI technology because it's such a generic term, but like the backend technology, the XDR platform, correlates those alerts together and turns those individual signals into an incident, which is a story. And that's like the story of an attack. So it's going to correlate incident 19388, which is the pivot for the next one. So to understand it, we're going to ask Defender for an incident report summary, which is similar to what you asked for, but this is before it's been investigated. But we want to understand the story because, like I said, there might be multiple alerts in there. So we're asking it to give us that analysis. Now, I'm not sure how many alerts were in it, but basically it's gone through, summarized all of the alerts, talking about the incident in chronological order so you understand what's been going on. And it automatically enriches the entities involved. So if it's a host, it'll give you information about it, like this is a Windows 11 desktop, or connection from this IP, which is, external and known to be used or not malicious, or, it just tells you what's going on. But further to that, it also starts guiding you to what you can do to start remediation. So first, we're going to grab more entity information from the incident, which will provide the full list of entities associated with the incident. And after this part, I'm actually going to stop. So I just want to finish the rest of the slides. I think even though I'm not typing it in, you can kind of see how you can interact with it and how it'll automatically query the data for you and summarize the results. And it will make it so that you don't have to spend so much brain time just working out how to find the information, and you use your brain time to work out how to use the information. I would never 100% trust this though. Not because I don't trust Microsoft or the technology. I do. I work for them. I'm very happy to work for them. But because any tool needs verification, right? If you're in security, you don't just trust blindly. So I would still go and do some other verification.
I noticed in one of the response, it provided the link as well.
Yes.
To the list.
Yes.
To the logs.
Yeah, so you'll be able to click on it and it'll take you to another page. So this output here is giving some information just for more context. So you'll see it's talking about the timestamps, the alert severity, and the devices, the activity group, or the Tempest. So Manatee Tempest, that's like one of the nation states designations. And the actual techniques that were used. All right, so it's good contextual information. I'm going to opt out of the. It's a pretty good demo. It takes you through all the way through the remediation. I'll spoil it for you. They had a device that wasn't compliant, so it didn't have appropriate security policies, so they were able to be compromised that way. And then it says, hey, but if you're using Intune, we do have the compliance policy in place. It's just that this computer wasn't in this security group. So put it in, and that'll remediate the environment because, and then, reset Lynn's password because it's a breach credential, and, the world is good again. So, but it steps you through everything and tells you how to do that. All right. So it's really important to talk about the core principles behind the security, privacy, and compliance controls, because people are always a little bit worried when AI can have access to data, right? So we have some core principles. Your data is your data, all right? Your data is stored where you chose, and it's always encrypted at rest. So when I say when you onboard into one of our defenders, which is needed for these, you chose a region. Your data stays in that region and always encrypted at rest. Your data isn't used for sales or shared with third parties. And access to the systems housing your data is governed by Microsoft's SOC and ISO certified processes. So we have a lot of those certifications. We have a thing called the Trust Center. If you have a Microsoft account, you can log into the Trust Center and see the report for your region against the standard it was assessed by. It's all available for our customers. More importantly, your data is never used to train the foundation AI model. All right, so we don't use your data to make GPT-4 better. OpenAI will never see your data. The OpenAI service is stateless and it doesn't retrain using the input prompts. Like I did mention, it uses GPT-4, but it's not a learning one. And the fine-tuning and new AI model development leverages data within the bounds of your customer environment. All right, and we're already doing this with NDC. We take anonymized data out so that our threat hunters can look across a larger pool of data, and then we'll feed information back in if you're, potentially at risk. We'll tag things in your alerts. So it's an established pattern that our customers are familiar with. It works the same way with the security model. Microsoft believes the development and deployment of AI must be guided by the creation of an ethical framework. We have 6 core principles that should guide all work around AI: privacy and security, inclusiveness, accountability, transparency, fairness, and reliability and safety. And those are the core principles. If you've done your AI 900, which is the AI foundations, we talk about this quite a lot. And it's consistent across everywhere Microsoft does AI. So it's not enough just to define the principles, we need to operationalize them at scale. So we focus on 4 key areas to help put these principles into action. First, we have our governance. Second, we have rules to standardize the AI requirements. Third, we have our training and best practices. And fourth, the tools used for implementation. So to make it specific to Copilot, where's my mouse? I'm going to repeat it again. Microsoft Copilot for Security is not ChatGPT, all right? And it stays grounded within the context of your organization. And any question you ask, the answer will only be based on what is happening in your organization at that moment. It'll only query your logs. So together with that, you'll also get our leading threat intelligence and threat signal from around the world, and the expertise and training of our Security Copilot Cybertrain security-specific model itself. But importantly, your data is always your data, and it's not used to train the foundational AI model. I have a talking line. I probably wouldn't repeat it that many times, but it is super important that you understand that we're not going to leverage your data, all right? So here's just a really brief, model. Wow, I've got something segmenting access in M365. Ignore that little bit. On how it kind of interacts. So you'll see on the top is the human, on the bottom is the security copilot. So the human submits a prompt, and then the copilot takes over. So it determines the initial context and builds a plan using all of the available skills. So the skills available will depend on which of the products you've onboarded. So if you're using only Defender for Endpoint, the skills relative to that only will be available. If you've onboarded all of the XDR using Intune and Entra ID, it'll leverage those, right? So the more you use, the more value you'll get. It then executes the plan and gathers all of that necessary content and data. So that's the build content. And then in the response, it will combine all of the different sources of data and provide a human readable summary. And then you get to receive the response. Now, there are some customers on private preview. Oh, yeah, sorry.
Sorry, just in relation to that. Like GTP, is there the potential for like false instruction?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's why it's not released yet. We're making sure, like, security is so important, right? Like, we want to make sure that it's reliable. So, like our early access customers are really getting massive amounts of value from it. But, all of the same things that you'll see, like with GPT-4 and how people can, make it do silly things or whatnot, like it's still using GPT-4 with that model. So we need to build in all of the guardrails and constraints to make sure that it's always reliable. And that's why I said, like, you don't trust it completely. It's like a zero trust methodology, always verify.
Yeah. All the GTP doesn't know the healthcare app.
Oh dear. Yeah.
And found that to be a problem. And like 2 in 10 instruction sets were incorrect.
Oh wow. Yeah, you'd have to have like a meta prompt that was very, very constrained. Yeah. But like the feedback we've got so far is really positive. And the customers are seeing, some amazing value already, and that's with it in its existing suite. Well, to be fair, these slides are from November. So like in that 3 months, we're moving so fast. So it would be better than when this feedback was given. So Avanade really feels that it will help with the talent gap and getting their junior staff to be more useful quicker. LM or LTI Mindtree, they think it's great for the democratization of security, which for them allows them to be able to train new security professionals faster. And Dow expressed excitement and highlighted the ability to stay ahead of future threats. I would argue that a lot of the people who are getting onto Security Copilot maybe weren't using our tools as well as they could have before, and also maybe weren't leveraging, even if they had the threat intelligence, maybe weren't leveraging it as much, because to actually build that into a query isn't like really straightforward. So for Copilot to do it for you is great. And we're onboarding more customers into that experience. So the feedback will help us improve the product quicker. So it's really good. And that is the end of the presentation. Thank you. I apologize for the slides. Be kind. And if you have any questions, by all means. And if you want to see like other demos come up, I can show you on my screen like what the embedded experience looks like as well. Or if you want, I can put it on the screen, but it won't be a... Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to change it to duplicate so I can see here. And then so this one here starts off in the Defender portal. Helps me with where to click, which is nice. So normally you would go to your incident and alerts. Oh, come on. And then you'd go to the incidents. There we are. And then you'll see all the incidents, and I'm just going to expand it to prove my point before. An incident will have a bunch of alerts built inside it. So this one, they picked one which looks really, really scary. So you can go into the incident itself. Really wants me to follow. Oh, ransomware. And then you'll see here on the side with the Copilot, it's automatically generating a summary. So I haven't done anything, and I could straight away just read this incident summary here. And it's reasonably comprehensive, AI generated, verify for accuracy, and the opportunity to provide feedback on how well it's worked straight away. This incident is recorded in a much better experience on YouTube, by the way. So I'm happy to share where you'd find that. So from the summary here, they're saying that there was a script that was executed. So, have a look and see what to do. And where does it want me to go? That's why these ones are... I'm gonna just go off its thing. And then if you're wanting to, just say you've done, okay, I've investigated all this, I want to go further into this investigation, you can actually, from here, click the button and go straight into the Copilot experience. Right? So you can go from one to the other, and it takes that session and puts it into here. So in that summary, it said you'd need to do a script analysis. So when I opened it in, it did that next thing. And plus, it's a demo. It's meant to move along for me. But it did the analysis, and I understood that there was a function in here to get the user's primary refresh token that sits on a Windows device and is used to automatically generate an access token on all of the services. That's how SSO works with Windows, yeah? So the script basically stole the user's primary refresh token, and that's how the attack... Now, the script shouldn't have been able to run, but it did. So, yeah. And that just shows you how you can go through from one to the other. All right, and then it's just asking to provide a summary. Yep.
So, say there's a new vulnerability that's been uncovered or whatever.
Yep.
Can you sort of ask this Copilot, hey, this new vulnerability is uncovered, how can I exploit it with my system?
How can I exploit the vulnerability?
Yeah, you'll go into the detail and saying, there's this microservice that uses this old package.
Yep.
Just go here. And you can run the thing. And, yeah.
I think if you said, how can I exploit it, it would say no. Because we're all about the responsible use. But how... you could say, am I vulnerable? What do I need to do to make sure I can't be exploited? It will give you steps. It will give you steps to remediate so that you protect against it. But Sorry? Probably. And I do realize how... But the test might be just run this PowerShell command or, run this command rather than test it by downloading Mimikatz. And Mimikatz is used to steal credentials. So, yeah. Yeah.
So the purpose of having Copilot alongside security tools like that is the idea to increase the learning, make learning faster, or get to the conclusions faster, I guess. Is that...
That's one thing. But at about 10 o'clock in the morning after I've had my second coffee, my brain's really good. And at about 3 o'clock, it's not. But the Copilot will consistently be good. And I just need to ask it the right questions, and it will still help me get through that whole day, right? That's where I see that value. And because it will collate across multiple data sources. We haven't covered all of the use cases. So you mentioned the vulnerability question. Because it's connected to the threat and vulnerability data, you can say what are the top 3 vulnerabilities and how do I remediate them. I don't know if you can ask it how to test it. And to be fair, they would have to be really careful with that, because we don't want to train adversaries who have access to Security Copilot how to break it, right? And there's a lot of guardianship or, safe boundaries like a parent would put for a 4-year-old on the AI, not the human, right? Because the AI doesn't have the smarts, right? It's just like with ChatGPT, you can't go and say, oh, I've got to be careful because this will end up on YouTube, but you can't ask it how to go do bad thing. Well, you can, but it will say, oh, well, we don't want to do those bad things. Yeah.
Can after such a report, can you similar question, but in a constructive way, not destructive way? Can you ask Copilot that? Can you provide me similar places where there is chance of such vulnerability and I can fix?
Yeah. So all.
I know Azure give you if you go to any source or app service or anything or even SQL, it will give you some warnings that these are the issues you can resolve, but it's not sort of proactive. It doesn't send you reports. You need to go there and then you need to check.
Well, you'll still have to go to the portal, like I'm showing you the vulnerability portal for Defender or the Security Copilot standalone experience and ask about the query. Like ask about it. It's, you can set up alert policies and stuff like that. Yeah, like it's still supporting, not leading.
Does it help you configure the system or just analyze it?
Yes, it will give you best practice advice, right? But that will be from like in the recommendations here, say, we already tell you how to configure your device. So it'll refer to these.
Kind of gives you a hint and then drops you on a page.
Yeah.
But all of the documentation tends to be for previous versions of the UI. So how does that?
Well, it will give you textual information, but where it sources that, it's not going to be any different from the documentation there. So if that's a problem with the thing you're trying to configure, I feel that problem will be consistent. But on the outside, all of that documentation's in GitHub, and if it annoys you enough, you can modify it too. Open source for the win. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I think we're 1 minute off the full hour. So thank you so much for attending. I really do appreciate your attention and patience. And yes, please be kind. I like to do this talk. I like to come to NDC. So yeah. Anyway, thank you.